All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me, pretty much as always, is my co host, our marketing director, one of our other coaches, all around superhuman, Jen Waybor Hart. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Adam.
Still a redhead, I see.
Still a redhead.
All right. We'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, you never know.
Cool. It's funny because I think the majority of our audience is podcast listeners, not videocast viewers. So they don't see what we see, which is something I've got to get through my thick skull about the fact that the majority of our audience is just audio and not video. All right. So Jen and I have a really cool guest for you guys today. And because we were kicking some ideas around before we went live, I'm going to introduce the Atomic Agent. Brandon Tom. He's not really the Atomic Agent, but we thought that there was some really cool marketing that could be done around Brandon Tomic, the Atomic badass superstar. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. That was on the fly too. Dang.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the ability to go off the cuff. It brings me back to my high school debate team. I was an extemporaneous speaker.
Ooh.
And so if you've seen me speak, and a lot of people watching and listening have, I don't script. I don't have note cards. I just roll off the cuff. And sometimes that makes for really inappropriate shit. And I'm sure it will today as well with our little broadcast here. And we'll see how that goes. But Brandon, something that's been on my mind since we booked this and has become booked this with you, and something that's become a lot more prevalent in the last week as I'm gearing up for what the hell I want to talk to our guest about. And I know that this is personal and we never ask this shit, and we certainly never ask women. Brandon, how old are you?
Can you guess? I want to guess. I'd love a guess.
17 and a half.
Oh, brother in Christ. Hell yeah.
28 is my guess.
28? Closer.
Come on, hit us.
Yeah, no, I'm 31.
All right.
Okay.
So a little bit of a baby face there. All right. But I think what's really relevant here is that that's going to be at the young end of the spectrum that we have for guests on the show. Okay. And I think it's important to know, and our audience probably does know, most of them anyway, that we've got a pretty significant vetting process before we would even invite somebody to be on the show. Okay. And then, Jen, we're booked, what, a year out more these days? About it?
Yeah, just I slowed us down a little bit, so a year. We're booked 12 months out.
All right. So we're booked 12 months out because we had gotten to like a year and a half, and it was starting to get
ridiculous.
It was a little ridiculous. So, Brandon, we don't have a lot of people on the show that have reached the level of success that you have in the time frame that you have.
Wow, what an incredibly kind thing to say.
Well, it's true. You're younger than any of us, anybody in my office, anybody on my team, both the coaching company and my mortgage company. And we already know that you're killing it because here you are on How I Met Your Mortgage.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I do have the Benjamin Button thing, so technically I'm actually 50.
Got it. You started when you were 84 and you're getting younger. Got it.
Okay. Yeah. I had a little more credibility. Now the hair's gone back.
So are you one of those assholes that says, well, I've been doing this for 30 years?
Yeah. And then I just see if anybody says anything.
All right.
Back in, when they tore down the wall in Germany, I got started and saw the fall of the USSR, and that's when I got my license.
I don't think either of you were even alive when the Berlin Wall came down.
No, I've seen videos though.
Now I'm feeling old.
I might have been an infant.
Okay.
I'm 34.
Shut up,
Brandon,
So, Brandon, how long have you been doing real estate?
Yeah, so I got licensed in the summer of 2017. So that's what this would be year 7 for me.
Okay, that's a long time at 31 years old.
Yeah,
and you've achieved some good shit. You're with 6035 Group, right? Or how do you guys refer to that? 6035?
No, I'm no longer with them. I'm with Keller Williams Client's Choice. That was you booked me when I was with them, and I was on the way out.
Got it.
What's got in there?
Okay. Very cool. That would explain all the traffic from all the Keller Williams people down in Southern Colorado that have been hot to see you on the podcast. Very, very
It's a new
cool.
recruiting.
Right.
It's a new recruiting tactic. All the Keller Williams people just like all the stuff from other brokerages. So you feel that's what it was.
Very cool. So, what made you think this was going to be your career path? How did you get started?
Yeah, so I kind of went. I went from 0 to 100, or tried to, I should say, go from 0 to 100 really quick. At the time, I was living in a house with 5 of my best friends. Well, 4 at that time, 4 of my best friends, and one of them was working for a brain surgeon who was doing very well, as most brain surgeons do, and had a few other friends in a bit of an investor group. They raised, I think the sum total was about $2.5 million, looking for a commercial opportunity, right? So my young ass was working at Verizon Wireless. They paid the last half of my college. So I was working over there, helping old ladies figure out how their camera worked and all that kind of shit. And kind of like, what the hell am I doing with my life here? And then this opportunity presented itself where my friend of mine brought me to these people who had gained a little bit of money. They wanted us to go and see, like, what are the young people doing? Like the people who just turned 21, 22, 23, want to go have a beer, want to do whatever. We want to invest in whatever the youth is going to sort of be in the next, let's say, 5 years or so. And we got our eyes set on the old dog track off of Nevada. Jen, maybe you know that, being in Monument.
Yep.
But it's a classic dog track that had been around in the 40s, 50s, 60s, I believe, too, until dog racing was outlawed, I think, in the 80s.
Like greyhounds.
What's that again? Yeah,
Great.
the greyhounds.
Dog
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it kind of fell into disrepair and ended up essentially being a ad hoc strip mall. Right now, I think it's Copar Hobbies or whatever. Anyway, we were like, let's take the model that they have for Ivy Wild, which is this old school in Colorado Springs that they turned into a community marketplace. So Bristol Brewery, Principal's Office, which is a awesome cocktail bar, Axe and Oak Distillery. They got all these different companies all in one building. And we're like, this is the coolest thing. We want to be there every day. How can we make this something that's closer to UCCS, University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, has no good bars to go to walk, like within walking distance, has really nothing to do unless you have a car because it's kind of stranded up against the bluffs over there. We're going to buy this dog track. We're going to move in a brewery and a restaurant and a bar, and we're going to have an outdoor venue. We're going to do all these awesome things. So I get in contact with a real estate agent at Keller Williams, a commercial agent, who was like, all right, well, let's do this. $2 million, let's give them an offer. Let's see what we can do. They go in and we put that offer in. They said, no, we want like 10 million.
Oh,
right.
There's a little gap there. Okay.
And we're kind of like, you have a bunch of broken down ass cars in your front yard here in the front part of the lot. You have an airsoft place that like little kids come over and shoot each other with plastic pellets, and a what do you call it? Dispensary too, right above it. So like, are you really making that much money that you can warrant a $10 million ask price? Now I look back at it and think it's funny, but at that point I was like, well, it's probably just not the one. But that whole process of like getting the money together, putting the business plan together, putting a pitch deck together. We were talking to Oscar Blues. We were talking to Red Gravy. I was talking to all these different people who would just come into the Verizon store, telling them this crazy idea, and having all these meetings saying we'd love to put you in there and all that. And this ended up happening. But that entire process was sort of like, I want to own my own thing. I want to do my own thing. Well, I'm not really an engineer, so I can't really create my own product. I'm not a good baker or cook of any sort, so I'm not going to start a restaurant. I'm good at drinking cocktails, not good at making them, so I'm not going to start a bar. If I wanted to start my own thing, the product had to already be there. And that's when I kind of saw, I was like, oh, real estate. I mean, anybody who's going to buy a house is going to buy a house with or without my happy ass. It's a matter of me selling myself that I'm going to be the dude that gets them from point A to point B, which is home ownership.
Oh, so Brandon just nailed something big for those of you that aren't paying any attention. At his ripe old age, he recognizes that it's a fucking sales job, and that what he's really selling is himself. couple of big boxes ticked off the list there for Jen and I, knowing what we know about agents and loan originators and anybody else that would be in our audience. Okay, so we're not all that hip to helping old ladies figure out their cell phone cameras.
I was good at it.
Okay, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely charming. I have no doubt I would have sent my grandmama down there because it would have saved me a lot of trips out to her place to help her figure out her cell phone for sure. No question. But what was the next step? I mean, where did you start? Where was the business coming from? Are you part-timing it? Are you still doing the cell phone gig while you're doing the real estate gig?
Yes. So I was that summer doing all my classes while I was at Verizon. Obviously, very distracted, not doing very well. All the grandma's phones were not getting fixed the way that they needed to be fixed because I was really focusing on that. So, but there was this kind of weird 6-month period prior to where there's this huge mass exodus of Verizon employees going into real estate. So, like, I'll throw some shout outs to Pete Lobo, Tony Casados. Brandon Armstrong were kind of my boys who left my store and then went into, I think they went into structure first, but then after that went into Verizon Wire, or went into real estate over at Keller Williams Partners. So I got my license. I finally got approved. I put in my 2 weeks. My boss at Verizon essentially said, "Hey, you are so bad at this job right now that I will pay you the 2 weeks if you just leave."
Wow. Okay. That I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, Sal, you dickhead, if you're listening to this. I love you.
I've never heard of somebody being so bad at their job that they got severance.
Yeah,
That's basically what you did.
I worked my way into severance. I unworked my way into severance.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. So I'll throw that on the accomplishment board there. So then I went and joined my compatriots over at Keller Williams, and it was just more of just like, these are like friends of mine, people that I trust, and and I knew that they were doing pretty good at the time, and so I just kind of went in with there. As far as your other question, where did the leads first start coming from?
Yeah, where'd your first clients come from?
Yeah, so my first client, I will say, this is my only silver spoon, was my dad. He was leaving Colorado to go to North Carolina. So I got to sell his condo in Denver, which was a lot of fun. And that was my first deal with a sewer line replacement and a roof replacement on something that's an HO6 property versus it was, so I learned a lot with those first few.
Yes,
The preceding like 5 or 6 deals over the next couple months, those all came from just hitting the phones. We had a Mojo dialer with approximately 3,500 names. I'm pretty sure Tony was just putting names from the phone book in there, and we were just calling people. A couple hundred calls, because it rotates automatically when people hang up or send you to voicemail, and just hitting the phones.
That's huge. Here's something really interesting, because this wasn't that long ago.
No, this is 2018.
Right. And 20 years earlier, that's exactly how I started in the mortgage business.
Right.
I was given a list. There was no Mojo dialer. I was given a list and a phone and a desk and a computer and a pad on the bottom. Good luck, kid. And this is really a big deal, because when we're talking about lead gen, when we're talking about where we start before we're getting to this plateau of having a strict repeat and referral business, working the phone works still. For decades and decades. That has been the bomb. And it's why a lot of what I would consider antiquated coaching programs that still focus on that kind of thing still work, because it still fucking works.
Yeah.
Your Ninja and now I'm going to draw blanks on the other coaching programs that focus on this kind of stuff. The Core.
Yeah.
And who's the cat in Illinois that's so good and funny and friendly and
Jeremy Minor?
No, it's not Minor. But in any case, the reason that these coaching programs are still so popular, the reason that they're still so successful, is because that antiquated content really isn't all that antiquated. It still works.
Yeah.
We're talking about 2018 here.
Right.
And it's still a big deal.
Absolutely.
All
Well,
right.
it's just kind of like, it's like a lot of like weightlifting and stuff. Like there are all these different newfangled workouts or whatever that you can do that you see some crazy bodybuilder do on TikTok or whatever. But I mean, the bench press, the squat, all those things, the core principles are always going to be there. And you always have to be good on the phone. You always have to be able to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation of being on the phone with somebody who does not want to fucking talk to you and
or doesn't know you.
Or know you,
or think you're wasting their time.
Exactly.
You're trying to sell them shit because people love to buy. They just don't want to be sold. Oh, it was Buffini.
And yeah, exactly. And how can you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always having that muscle memory is always going to be important. There will be more efficient ways to do it. That's what I found later on. There are, there are other things, but you're always going to need your sphere. You're always going to need to be good on the phones, and you're always going to need to be good with strangers. So maybe that's true. Focus. But yeah, so I mean, I just called every damn person in El Paso County and ended up getting quite a few leads out of that. But what I realized is that the easiest lead to get is the one that already trusts you.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
As good as it
is very big.
Work out on the phone and have people say "fuck you" on the phone and all that. As good as that is, as much as it works, it's easiest to work with somebody who already knows and loves you, right?
Sure.
So
somebody who's referred by somebody who knows and loves you.
Exactly. The second best thing I would suggest in my humble opinion, right? So I actually ended up really capitalizing on my beer league hockey teams. So I would see these guys every Sunday night.
Oh yeah, we forgot you're a self-appointed shitty hockey player.
The worst. I'm so bad. I'm really bad. I call myself the grocery stick because I'm the guy that sits on the bench and divides the offense from the defense, just looking at the coach, hoping he's going to put me in.
Got it.
That's my job. I stole that from a different podcast, but yeah. So I mean, I just capitalized on a bunch of people who knew and loved me as somebody who always played with them, and was usually brought beer to the game anyway. So put that under business expense. And I think I did about 30 deals in my first year. And about 10 of them came from guys on my hockey teams and opposing hockey teams.
Okay. I think that and that we need to really focus on that particular number.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to get my head around that. Brand new agent doing 30 deals in his first year.
Yep.
Let's pause on that for those of you watching, listening. New agent, 30 deals, first year. That's fucking unheard of. That does not go on. And here we are doing it in a manner where we're able to talk to people. We're running with our tribes, whether that's hockey in Brandon's case or beer drinking in Brandon's case. Brandon, that's like 3 times you've mentioned how good you are at drinking, by the way, in a very short window here. I think you're also going to hold the record for the most guest F-bombs, which is fantastic because most of our guests are uncomfortable. Like, I actually
you started it. Once I heard
absolutely.
I was like,
yeah, okay, we do it. We do it.
Hockey player. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, we focus really hard on making sure we do not have an under 18 audience. So that's a big deal. But that's huge, man. I mean, I hope you're proud of you. I'm proud of you. 30 deals for a young guy, new agent, first year.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I thank you. It means a lot to me to hear that from. And I know, I mean, your pedigree it speaks for itself too, as well. I mean, incredible coaching company, and I mean, this has been on for 7 seasons already. So hearing that from you really means a lot to me. And so thank you for saying that. But I think that's kind of been my biggest struggle throughout my career is accepting the places I succeed in, but also still wanting to strive and push forward and improve and increase and all those kind of things. Because that's the thing in this industry is that, like, no matter how many deals you do, I got beat out for rookie of the year my first year, even with 30 deals. It was me and another agent who were just like neck and neck. And I think I beat them by like 3 deals. And I was like, rookie of the year, give me the medal. Let's go. No, some girl did 47.
Oh, God.
That same year, right? At my office, and so it's tough. That's always been something that's really been hard for me.
Okay, who is that? Because we want to boot you and get her on the show.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Brandon, it turns out you actually suck. My God.
Oh yeah, absolute pigeon over here. Yeah, no good. I think that was Lauren Jordan's. I think.
Okay.
I think that's who it was. Lauren,
I just have to say, I like that you stay in your lane enough that like her name isn't still resonating in your head as like this chick that beat you out 7 years ago. So
well, it did though, because I was like, what is she doing? Because that's a healthy way to look at it, right? No matter, so accept your success, be happy in that, like let that be a good thing for you, but also accept there are people who are doing better. How can you improve? You know what I mean? So
I think that's a big deal in our culture, period. Jen and I are of the belief that we don't have any competition. My only competition is me. I just have to suck less tomorrow than I did today.
Yes. That's the Atomic Group saying is choose violence. And what that means is violence of action, right? Is can you beat who you were yesterday?
Yeah.
Right. If you have the option between sitting on your laurels and moving forward in the direction that you're used to, or violence of action, choosing the uncomfortable thing, doing the thing that is going to may push you forward. Maybe it won't, but put yourself in the place of fear so you can expand that comfort zone.
Yeah. Push your boundaries.
Yes. By violently being actionful. It's not a word, but.
No, I don't think Webster would let us call that a word. But, and obviously there are 1,000 different philosophies and sub-philosophies that kind of follow along those lines about being better tomorrow than you are today, not having any competition, but you are, but yourself, eating the frog, taking imperfect action. I mean, we could come up with all kinds of different things from, screenplays and books and articles that basically follow along that kind of a philosophy, but how many people really take it to heart?
Well, it's easy to say. It's an easy thing to, and even as I kind of was just spouting off my little manifesto there, like it's an easy thing to say that doesn't necessarily have a solid, here's action 1, action 2, action 3. So you're choosing violence. What are those violent actions that you can do to violently increase your production, or, those things, right? So like one thing for me has always been like lead generation in general. I like to look at it as a table, right? You need at least 4 things to support a table. If you're relying on any one thing and that one thing goes away, now suddenly your business falls to the floor. So if you're new to the business, some of these legs you have to create yourselves, right? Where somebody like me that's been in it for a little bit, I have my past clients, and I have referrals from those past clients, family, friends that already know, because all I talk about is real estate. I'm not real fun at parties or anything. It's kind of all I talk about. Internet leads, and then any sort of other things. So like having my face on one of the boards at the hockey rink or something like that, right? Just because you have those 4 things to rely on, maybe you can put yourself outside of your comfort zone and start calling FSBOs, right? And even in my old age of the career,
and spoken like a true Keller Williams agent. Go on.
Right. My gray hair, like, I mean,
call your FSBOs.
Yeah, call FSBOs. Call
the expireds.
Yeah, call those expireds, right? Absolutely. Now, I didn't find a lot of success in those things. Open houses. That was not my milieu, was doing open houses, right? Doesn't mean you shouldn't do those things as reps. I hate doing leg day. I don't like doing leg day. It's just not my thing. You can't see my lower half, but you would be able to tell if you could. Still got to do it. You still have to do it, right? You still need to have that foundation, right? And that's why I think even if for sale by owners isn't your thing, even if expireds, even if, whatever it is, whatever it is that you don't like or do normally, doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, right? Because that could be a nugget of business that is just hiding there for you, right? So I like to make a list of the 4 things that I'm doing right now and the 4 things that I'm not doing, and I dedicate an hour to 2 hours to that a week, depending on whatever it is. So I'll call FSBOs.
All right. So not skipping leg day might help your skating. Just throwing that out there for you.
Well, sure.
Just some practical advice.
Thank
but
you.
Give us the 8. What are the 4 that you're doing really well? What are the 4 that you're trying to get better at?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, predominantly, I have a very healthy referral base. That is
work your circle.
Work in that circle, baby.
Okay.
And so I kind of count that as 2 separate things, which is family and friends that have not used me or whatever, that also refer people to me. I have a listing going live
Yep.
next week from
Great advocates.
my barber. That's
Yep.
and then so that's family and friends, and then past clients using that. Now that one I've really been uncomfortable with, and that's something I've very much increased over the last year or so, or last few months actually.
Past clients. These are the people that love you the most.
I know. And
what the hell's wrong with you?
I would like to know. Are you a therapist as well?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. All right. And don't get me wrong, Brandon, you're not the only one. We had a coaching client not too long ago who would rather hit FSBOs, hit expireds, cold call, than talk about what he was doing in his own circles.
Yes.
What? But humans, we're jacked.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Absolutely. It doesn't make
keep
any
going.
sense, right? Internet leads comes after that. And that's a mix of a few different platforms. And that's more of just a matter of efficiency, right? If I can get one call and one out of, like Zillow is one of them. If one out of, I usually close like 1 out of 5 that I get. So, I mean, that's just more of an efficiency play. So that's the third leg.
1 out of 5?
I mean,
am I being punked?
Right?
That is
like,
huge.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, 1 out of 5.
For those of you that know and work with Brandon, you need to go park your ass near him and listen to him fucking talk on the phone. That's it. You are going to be a successful agent if you go listen to Brandon talk on the phone.
Oh, still.
All right, dude. 1 out of 5 is insane.
Yeah, it's like 1.57.
Like 1 out of 100.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean they're expensive though, but that's the thing. It's the efficiency though. It's like I get the call, I want to go see it, we're done. And then the fourth leg has been, and this has been a newer addition, has been like geo-targeting. So I work with a title rep who's been helping me kind of get like, so I take like Stetson Hills area or something like that. Those 400 units I hit with mailers, I hit with internet-based leads and stuff, connections as well. And that's been a new addition. So those are the 4 that I've been comfortable with and consistent with. Okay. The other 4 that I have not been consistent and comfortable with is what I call new referral base. So taking people who are not my friends, are not looking for houses, are not, are in some sort of other professional industry and getting into their database too, right? So like I work at a Lifetime gym and we go really early, me and this lender buddy of mine, his name's Linton. And there are people who own their own insurance companies. We have an FBI agent that works there. We have a guy who owns his own like car detailing people, landscaping company, and all those things. What we found is that like creating that little mastermind of people who also need business, who own their own business, who could benefit from, let's say, me having a listing that needs some landscaping done. Well, shoot, if you're down, over in the Broadmoor setting up some landscaping to people who are thinking about selling, well, why don't you call your boy, call me, and kind of creating that sort of circle of trust as well. I don't know why I never thought about it, but that was just another way I wanted to get into it. And then for sale by owners, hopping back on those too, because I'm wanting to grab more listings at this point. Expireds as well, just because I'm seeing a lot of really shitty marketing and houses that are not listed correctly and all that. So why not give them a call and say, hey, let me give it a chance. Are you still looking to move? Or are you not looking to move?
God, it's got to be really shitty if the houses aren't selling right now.
I know.
Major housing shortage, people.
Major housing shortage. But like you see these people put up like cell phone pictures for their listing. You know what I mean?
I like the bathroom selfie ones myself.
Oh yeah, when you can see the dude's hairy arm
in the mirror.
In the mirror. Yeah.
That's always a good one.
So and then my 8th and final is getting into new just things in general. So like I just joined a woodworking group. I bought an old record hutch, old Magnavox TV record hutch, and I'm turning it into like a more modern record player with like brand new speakers, a little bar and stuff like that. So I joined a woodworking group and just kind of meeting people through there. I have under my tag in my meetup a profile real estate agent, so people know who I am and all that kind of thing. It's more of a soft touch than anything. I have a
it's a drip campaign of sorts.
It's a more personal drip campaign.
Yeah.
because eventually when one of those guys who's telling me how to do a polyurethane on compact board or whatever the hell is going on, that guy wants to then buy a house that has a large garage that he can, have his own little workshop in, then who's he going to call? Well, that idiot who's trying to convert a 1968 Magnavox TV console.
Well, and we're going to hope he's better at real estate than that.
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. Horrible hockey player, decent real estate agent.
All right. So Jen warned you, and I see her pushing me that we were going to burn through our half hour like that.
I know. I don't believe it.
And we did. There's so much shit we still want to talk about. So Jen, get Brandon booked for another episode. We really never talked about any business. All we talked about was some lead gen, some important things. Run with your tribes, whether that's woodworkers or hockey players. And hey, for all your gym buddies that catch this, don't let Brandon skip leg day, please. From what I'm gathering, the guy can't even stand up to show us how bad that lower half is.
Yeah, I'm rolling.
So how we're getting around on ice skates is mind-boggling. That kind of thing. But yeah, Brandon, this is incredible, dude. You're crushing it.
Oh, thanks, guys.
I'm not a big fan of internet leads. I'm really big on people generating leads, not buying leads.
Yes.
But if you're supplementing your business, you're buying leads, those people end up loving you. They're going to tell other people that they fucking love you.
Absolutely.
So there is some value in putting fresh meat in the grinder, as it were, expanding your circles a little bit here and there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, great stuff from you today, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for having me on. This is so much fun.
Oh, this was killer for us.
Oh my gosh.
I just have to say really quick, before we were on the air, we were talking about the atomic bomb being in branding, and you were talking about how that's so violent, but then you tell us that your team chooses violence.
That's right. We choose violence,
So-
but we don't want to be the atomic agent.
All right.
We're gonna talk more about that, Brandon.
You
I'm telling
convinced me.
Yeah.
Brandon, your middle name doesn't start with an A, does it?
No, it doesn't. It starts with an R.
All right.
Bert.
All right. Well,
I can
still,
change it.
I think that there's something there.
You could totally.
The
Brandon
Atomic.
Atomic.
Brandon Tomic, the atomic agent. This has been amazing. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Jen, what else are we up to these days?
All the things,
All
as
the
always.
things. We got a lot of shit
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, the biggest thing is Social Media Day Denver, Friday, June 14th. Tickets will be on sale soon. I am still looking for a couple of speakers and sponsors. So if you or anyone you know would like to come talk about anything in relation to social media, which is basically our entire existence these days, let's be real, reach out to me at smdaydenver@gmail.com.
And that's a big audience. Let's
Yeah.
not pull any punches there. That's a big audience, and a big thank you to Metropolitan State University here in Denver for their help. They do have a social media marketing degree program. They help us out with facilities and interns and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And yeah, so big shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then beyond that, we have our 1 day with Jen and Adam trainings now that are now available. So if you're curious about what Just the Tips does and you think your team could use to hear from us, reach out to us for that.
If you live in a
wanna
cold
get-
environment, please wait until spring.
Right. And if you live in a hot environment,
Now
either
it's good.
Call us now,
go now.
or
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. No
Yeah, if you're in
Vegas
Phoenix or Vegas, we're on
August.
our way.
Yeah. Other than that, if you want to get past episodes of the show, our weekly little tip, free hour of coaching, copies of Adam's books, all the things, text tips to 63566 to find out all the things that we're doing around Just the Tips coaching.
Cool. And
Yeah.
Brandon, another shout. Thanks, man. This
Oh,
was a
thank
killer
you.
episode for us. We loved having you on the show. Jen will get you booked for another one. I'm
Be
guessing
honored.
about a year from now.
Yeah.
And for the rest of you watching or listening live, thank you. If you're catching us in syndication, you can do that on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, or you can catch those video casts live at 10:30 Mountain Time. That's 12:30 Eastern Time on Mondays. And then you can catch the How I Met Your Mortgage podcast on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple on Wednesdays. And for those of you tuning in, thanks for doing so. And we'll see you guys next week.